better never rests.
Careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
Happy Thursday morning to you. It's the Georgia Show here on the DawgsHQ YouTube channel, also on Facebook, also on the Rusty Mantel's Twitter account or X account, whatever you want to call it. We are back with you. And it's bye week, which is a downtime for the team, not necessarily a downtime for the folks at DawgsHQ, that's for sure. We wish that were the case, but it is not. Before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Brunt Workwear. You can save $10 with code DawgsHQ over at Brunt. Listen, guys, I'm telling you, I've been rocking the Brunts, man. Listen, these things are legit. Out of the gate, super comfortable, an incredible pair of boots for you. They are designed for whatever life throws at you in terms of working on the job site, in terms of just hanging out in town. Looked good looking, man. I wore them around the other day all day, and everybody was like, "Hey, what are those?" All right, so and not in the what are those sense, you know. It was all very complimentary, but they do a fantastic job over there. And sometimes, listen, choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing real work shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. Now, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not one of these people out here on the job site putting in real work. But I do enjoy a great pair of boots, and they certainly make them at Brunt. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. They built something better. Boots insanely comfortable, built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use code DawgsHQ at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use the code DawgsHQ, and you're good to go. And after they order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor. Tell them that was from this show. Jeremy Johnson, bye week is upon us, and the Dogs, I think that this one comes at a very good time for Georgia, Jeremy. It's not necessarily, I would say, the unhealthiest Georgia has been all year. There have probably been stretches where a few more guys have been banged up, but listen, going into this stretch, I said it the other day on the board, it's all about health this time of the year and being able to make that run. You want to go deep in the playoffs. There's a whole other season that's just starting to begin right now. And typically the guys who do the best in this half are the ones that are the healthiest. And Georgia has a couple of guys, Chauncey Bowens and Gunnar Stockton, come to mind straight off the rip for me. But in your mind, what does Georgia have to focus on in this bye week?
The people in the mirrors. I mean, they need to get better defensively. I mean, there is no sugarcoating it. There is no, hey, you know, you can't continue to get in holes in the beginning of games, and it's happening defensively, at least initially in a lot of these games. You know, now the offense is struggling a little bit sometimes in first quarters as well. But last week we saw what that offense did last week. You know, that's kind of, I'm starting to wonder if that's kind of going to be the norm with this offense moving forward, just with how they played, because they did it against Tennessee as well. So, and against Kentucky a good bit as well, just other than that second quarter. But I think it's the people in the mirror that's going to have to be the, hey, what do you fix this week? Just, you know, trying to figure out how to start faster, you know, and being able to come out and, you know, have that initial, whatever they do in the fourth quarter, just do that in the first half of games. And they've shown that they can do it. I mean, they've shown that, hey, there's the ability to be able to stop people on a consistent basis is in that locker room. So, and like you said, just getting healthy. I mean, Gunnar Stockton has, I think I asked him 2 weeks ago, hey, man, what do you, like, how do you continuously get up after some of these hits you're taking? Because it's just, like, he takes some violent hits that I don't know that I've seen quarterbacks, like, take on a regular basis and just go, shake his helmet off and go back to the huddle. Like, that's a pretty impressive thing, but it's taking its toll. So it's a good week for him. And Monroe Freeland kind of mentioned I think Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, he mentioned that he was saying that, he's about 75, 80% on his ankle. And, that he'll be looking at maybe being 85, 90% when he comes out of this week. So that'll be a big help for Georgia. He's been playing well, even though he's been banged up. But, having a healthy version of him could even be that much better. And obviously, Ernest Green, he's been banged up too. And he played last week, played well too. Having another week of health for him could be huge as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Gunnar Stockton, man. That guy takes shots that would make me retire from the game of football on a regular basis. I just, hey, man, I'm good. I'll take my F-150 and my NIL money from this year and just go buy myself a little piece of property up in Raven County and go hunting for the rest of my life. But no, it is crucial. And like you said, those offensive linemen, Jeremy, I think people can sometimes underrate not only how tough those guys are, but just how tough it can be to play through those injuries when you are a big guy, man. I mean, you got extra strain on every part of your body when you're carrying 300 plus pounds around. And it's a big deal. Those guys essentially too, every play's a car crash, man. The guy's just trying to get through you and get to the backfield. You mentioned those offensive linemen, Jeremy, and if they're able to get Monroe and Ernest kind of up and running, back up to speed here, I think that's crucial moving down this road here toward the postseason, because Georgia has seemingly been able to overcome some of those injuries. Guys like Bo Hughley stepping up. Obviously, Juan Gaston's had an excellent season to this point. Dontrell Glover has stepped up in a big way. We've seen Cortez Smith even do it for Drew Bobo when he's needed to as well. The Dogs are looking deep on the offensive front when it comes to this second half, especially if everybody's got their body right.
Yeah, and I think that might, we kind of talked about the running back room earlier in the year kind of being the strength of the team, and the receiving room was the one that, people talked about in the preseason and in the offseason. But, I mean, today, if you ask me, hey, where's Georgia's strongest part of their football team, I would say it's their offensive line. And it's because of what you're saying. Hey, they've had injuries. Ernest Green missed 3 games. Juan Gaston missed a game. Monroe Freeling had no business playing against Auburn. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He played last week. He got banged up a little bit last week. Still found a way to do it. But in all of that, they found depth. And I think they found not only depth, they found that, hey, we've got 7 or 8 guys that if we play them, we're still net positive in what we're trying to do. And when you got that as a former offensive lineman, hey, I can go give 125% for 15 straight plays. I'm going to get a blow because I know the guy behind me can come in and he can produce just like I can. I don't have to worry about, I'm banged and being afraid to go to coach and say, hey, I got a little ding here. I need to take him in and get this looked at. Georgia can rotate these guys. Dontrell Glover can play left and right guard. Juan Gaston can play tackle, right guard, left guard. Whatever you need Juan Gaston to play, he can play. And you don't really lose anything like that. That's an invaluable thing to have, especially at this part of the year when defensive linemen are starting to get worn down too. Like the contact and the physicality that the offensive line is taking, those defensive guys are taking the same thing. But late in ball games, you look across that line of scrimmage and that guy's fresh. It's like, it's demoralizing. Like, oh my gosh. Dontrell Glover's not tired right now, and he'll stick his helmet right under my chin for the next 20 plays, and I don't really have any answer for it. That's where Georgia's offensive line is right now.
I'm tired, boss. I mean, that's like you see that, and that's what you're thinking, man. Like, come on, don't do this to me. The other guy, Jeremy, that I'm really looking at through this one, and I think that it can be crucial for Georgia moving forward, is Chauncey Bowens. I think that it was clear coming out of the Auburn game and then moving into Ole Miss that, he was a little nicked up. You saw him with kind of one of his lesser carries, I would say, outside the first couple of games, or lesser snap share, I should say, against Ole Miss. Nate Frazier steps in admirably. But listen, I'm of the mind that if you can get Chauncey Bowens back to where he needs to be, Nate Frazier, I thought, showed a lot in that Ole Miss game. That's a compelling 1-2 punch, and Georgia has done well in the rushing game this season. Having that two-headed monster in the backfield could really, really be a problem for some defenses moving forward the rest of the way.
Yeah, they definitely will get a familiar feeling with how like when Georgia's in its purest form, it has those two running backs that it can count on, and there's not a lot of difference in what they do physically. And then in that offense, they both are guys that can catch the ball. They're both guys that can make explosive plays. They're both not small people either. They're physical running backs. So that doesn't even count Josh McCray or Dwight Phillips or even Cash Jones. Like that. Georgia goes 5 guys deep with guys that I think they trust, and that's not even counting wherever Roger Robertson is. At this point in his rehab, that at some point he could play a role, but I don't know. It's a very deep room, and having those two big time guys. I mean, I think Chauncey Bowards and Nate Frazier are probably going to end up being two of the better guys in this rotation and two of the better guys in the SEC. Before it's said and done. So having them kind of having their breakout years is going to be huge for this offense for sure.
Yeah, you talk about wearing people down, man. Listen, like you said, you bring some fresh legs in at that running back spot, and you throw the guy out there, and they know that he's got. He's just now getting he's not breathing heavy, in the third quarter. That's a whole different feeling, man, when it comes to these guys. I do think, Jeremy, that you mentioned the defensive side of the ball. Who are you looking for, I guess, to kind of take a step forward in this bye week or after this bye week? One of the guys that's mentioned over here in our chat, and I can't disagree with it. I think it's time for Chris Cole to kind of start turning the corner, man. People have been waiting on it all season. I know I certainly have. It felt like there were times in Ole Miss that he almost got home, but he just didn't quite. I think that him taking that next step and getting back to the Chris Cole that we saw last year could really, really benefit this defense in a huge way.
Yeah, I can't disagree with it being Chris Cole, just because I think he's probably the team's best pass rusher. He probably has the best skill set to go and get the quarterback. Obviously sacks has been a big topic of discussion this year, and rightfully so. When you look at the teams that have won championships at Georgia, I mean, they've been in the top. I think the two teams were in the top 4 in the SEC in sacks. I mean, I think one of them was second, and the second one was fourth. So it matters. I mean, stats matter. I mean, not stats. Sacks matter. But I think this team can disrupt the quarterback, and I do think they will have an opportunity to get sacks. But it starts with Chris Cole just because he's got so much speed. I'm gonna throw another guy in there that I'm really kind of wondering like where the next step for him is DeMello Jones. We've talked about we don't talk about him as much. He was also a 5-star recruit, and he's been slowly getting more snaps. I think he's one of the highest snap guys on the defense right at this point. But I think his physicality and his ability to make tackles is something that Georgia's defense was missing for a minute. When you start thinking about the great defenses that they've had under Kirby Smart, you've had that guy that physical DB that set the tone. Kamari Lassiter comes to mind. And, DeMello Jones reminds me a little bit of Kamari, just with their build, their physicality, and the way they look at football. I mean, it was funny that he said that, that's the guy he watches, is that he's a Kamari Lassiter kind of follower. So I think he brings that kind of same toughness and that same mentality. And I think once he kind of understands the speed of what college football is fully, I think you're talking about a guy that, is a tone setter as a DB. And, I think DeMello Jones is the guy over this second half of the year. We'll start seeing a little more of that from him.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a guy who's taken a turn. I would agree. DeMello Jones, I believe now 2 or 3 straight weeks, not straight, I'm sorry, but 2 or 3 weeks throughout the season, he has been the top graded defender by PFF. And that's huge for Georgia. Like you said, especially moving, I think about him and Ellis Robinson, not just in this year, but moving ahead. That's massive stuff. Speaking of massive, you can get a massive discount over at sunheist.com, 20% off with DawgsHQ 20. A number of different styles, guys. Incredible customer service. Free returns on orders over $65. We talk about it all the time. They throw in the accessory bundle. They've got a number of different ways to customize and get something that you're going to love. Lifetime warranty on the frames, injected polarization. It's just a fantastic company. They are Georgia-based. They're big dog fans. So you can feel good supporting some folks that support the dogs. Get out there and get with sunheist.com. And remember, code DawgsHQ20 gets you 20% off every single time you use it. not just a one-time deal over at sunheist.com. And speaking of great company, Dollar Shave Club. Look, you're not trying to look like me. You're trying to look like Jeremy Johnson. You want to get the beard tight. You want to look good. Dollar Shave Club is the place to be. They got the handle razors for your team. All right. So dog fans, they got them with the Georgia logo on them. You got Georgia everything. Put it on your razor too, man. They've got a line of different products. A great company with great customer service. Get over, check out Dollar Shave Club today and get your collegiate handle. Recruiting rolls on, Jeremy Johnson, and it is a big weekend for that. Georgia, I don't know how many people always remember this or know this, but Georgia coaches, all coaches, only get one on-campus trip during the fall window. And so this weekend, I think, is crucial in that regard for them. One of the stops we know will be being made, Mike Bobo up visiting five-star quarterback Jared Curtis. And look, Steve Wiltfong put out a little piece. Those Vanderbilt Commodores are riding high on that Diego Pavia juice, man. They're trying to sway in Georgia's quarterback, keep him close to home. Mike Bobo working to do everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen. And he'll be in Nashville this weekend with Jared Curtis. I'm going to just go ahead and ask you straight out the gate, do you feel like there's anything to worry about when it comes to Georgia and Jared Curtis?
There's always something to worry about when it comes to Georgia and quarterbacks and recruits and this time of year, because it's recruiting, and it is the wildest universe you can ever want to be in. So yes, I do think there is something to worry about. I do. And I don't think anything's going to change, but the fact that this is happening is a red flag. It's definitely something to say, hey, this isn't like supposed to happen when there's nothing. So this is almost around that time where Dylan Raiola took that quiet visit to Nebraska that no one really talked about. And then in December, it kind of popped up. Hey, this is a real thing. The only difference is that Jared Curtis's visit is getting publicized, whereas Dylan Raiola's kind of went under the radar. We only found out about it like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after it happened. So hometown kid, Nashville, Vanderbilt's top 10 right now.
Yeah.
Diego Pavia has shown, hey, you can play quarterback here and some good things can happen to you. So I'm always of the mindset that where there is smoke, there is fire, whether it be a little embers of a fire that was once there or the beginning of a fire that's about to begin. So I don't think he's going to flip. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would be on alert at least at this point.
Jeremy Johnson winning friends and influencing people with making them nervous about Vanderbilt and Jared Curtis. Goodness gracious. No, I get it. I agree with you, man. Listen, I think that Vanderbilt's one of those schools that NIL probably leveled things out for a lot, because they do have some people at Vanderbilt that got some cash. Okay, they can spend at Vanderbilt, and they clearly have had the success during this era. I don't think that it's necessarily. Look, if I'm Jared Curtis, I'm wondering ultimately, is the success of Vanderbilt the success of this coaching staff, or is it the success of Diego Pavia? And are they living and dying in that way? Is this Jimbo Fisher, Jameis Winston, or is this, something more substantial than that? I think that is definitely a consideration. His agent spoke with Steve Wiltfong and said, hey, look, he's with Georgia. He's going to be a Georgia Bulldog. Nothing to worry about that. And if you can't trust agents, who can you trust, Jeremy? I mean, ultimately. Yeah. That's what hey, I don't really know. I don't. At this point in time, you don't really trust anyone. No.
It's that part of the year where you just. I'm listening to actions, and I'm listening to what's happening and what is concrete. Words are words until they're not, So, and I don't think this is something that's, going to happen. It is worth paying attention to, just because we've seen the Georgia and Dylan Raiola thing play out, and it started around this time, and we didn't really get to talk about it because it wasn't publicized. And then one night in December, Dylan Raiola is trending towards Nebraska. That's let's pay attention to it. Is all.
No, I get it. I think you're spot on with that. I think that you always have to take these things seriously, and certainly that's the case. Is there anybody else that you're looking at necessarily this weekend, Jeremy, that Georgia needs to get in front of? The guy who comes to mind for me is Justice Fitzpatrick, primarily just because you know that nobody's given up. Miami is trying their damnedest to keep him at home, and rightfully so. He continues to have a tremendous season. One of the best players in this class, regardless of position. And look, Georgia wants to keep those cornerback ranks deep. And you got DeMello Jones and you got Ellis Robinson. They're a little advanced in age, man. You know, things go right for them next year. They could be on their way out somewhere, taking a stab at the next level. A guy like Justice Fitzpatrick would go a long way to help him fulfill those roles.
Yeah, that would be mine, because I think you're right. I think you're spot on as well, just about, the depth there. And, you got two really good young players in place. But in college football, young is only young for a couple of days, it feels like, because you play a year and you got the next year, and then I'm going to the NFL now. And that happens a lot at Georgia. And obviously you just never know. I mean, we've seen this position flip over so quickly in Athens recently. I think Justice is one of those special players. I mean, he's as talented as either of these guys coming out of high school. So he could even find himself playing a little earlier than maybe some expect. So I think they definitely need to go down there and get in front of him. I do think, there is some interesting stuff happening in that recruitment as well. And I think Georgia's still kind of, in a good spot to keep him, but we'll see. That's definitely that would be my choice, would be to get in front of Justice Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely. And look, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You brought in Dante Williams for his recruiting ability. Travaris Robinson, well known in that regard too. These guys, that's a guy you need to shut the deal with, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you got a lot of things working in your favor. Georgia's done very well under quarterbacks. Kirby Smart himself, that's his, he's a defensive back by trade. I think at the end of the day, that's a big deal, is getting those guys in. Guys, look, if you're trying to get in, speaking of getting in, go over to gametime.co, our friends over there. And listen, I got this Bulldogs at Gators game pulled up. You might imagine things have taken a tumble in the ticket market. I think those Florida fans may be coming off their tickets a little bit, because it looks like there are some available tickets in this one for some really killer prices. $114 right there, $217. You can see everything from your seat. That's what's killer about Game Time and about how they do it, man. Nothing's hidden. All the fees are included. You got the view from your seat. And so you can get in the game, be there, take it all in live. And hey, look, if Georgia loses to these guys, people are going to be having a lot harder time about a lot of other things. So 3:30 game, it's going to be killer in Jacksonville. It always is. And one of your last chances to get to Jacksonville before the renovations start. So go down there. I don't know, hopefully everything gets worked out and they keep this thing down there forever. That would be my hope. But if they don't, this could be one of those final games down there in Jacksonville. So great opportunity here from gametime.co. You can go over, like I said, all fees included, see it from your seats, and they don't hide anything, man. I mean, that's like I said, the beauty of what Game Time does. They roll it all in. They've got the zone deals. They've got the hot seats. It's the lowest price guaranteed. So you got a chance to, if you find something cheaper, they'll make it right for you. All right. They get them transferred to you super, super quick. Another beautiful piece of it. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ON3, ON3, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Jeremy Johnson, I'm going to put you on the spot. In or out? Recruiting is going to be the kind of big talk of this weekend, and rightfully so, as we touched on with Jared Curtis, Justice Fitzpatrick. But there's other guys in this class that I'm very curious about, Jeremy. And I'm going to start you off with one. I previewed one name to you before we hopped on the air, but I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Okay. Nick Abrams. Georgia been fighting heavily with Michigan in that recruitment. This is a guy I think, Jeremy, they got to hold on to after the Shadarius Tootle flip. Although, depending on what happens on the plains, I could see Shadarius Tootle coming back to Georgia if all things go the way that they may look like they are going. But Nick Abrams, you're feeling on the recruitment of the 4-star linebacker right now. How do you feel like Georgia sits in this one? Is he going to be in this class? Or you think he's going to be out of it?
Yeah, I think he's in. I think, this last weekend was huge to kind of sealing that one up. If you had asked me maybe 2 weeks ago, I probably would have said out, because I think Michigan really impressed him and his family, and they've shown him a lot of love. But I feel like Georgia really did. Like, getting him on campus last week was huge, and I think him being there, getting to see those guys, being around those, that's the thing about recruiting nationally, is that, especially in this day and age, is where you'll get guys that are, don't really get to be as connected to what's happening in on campus and with the class, because he's in Maryland, so he's just kind of up there by himself, and you can't see him on a regular basis. You can't. The most you can do is text him and call him, but he don't get to go to his future teammates' high school games like some of these guys do. So him being on campus kind of was like, oh man, this is why I chose Georgia. This is why I wanted to be here in the first place. So he got reminded of a lot of those things this weekend, and I think I got him in right now.
Fair enough. Like I said, I think that Jeremy, is a guy who fits so well with what Georgia wants to do. His mentality is right for how they approach things at that position. And I do think he's very acutely aware of how they run their program and how the success they've had at that linebacker spot. Look, Justin Williams, number 1 linebacker in the country. He's having to wait his turn, man, behind some really talented older guys who've been in this system for a while. I think both you and I would love to see Justin Williams get some more snaps moving as it goes forward. But that's the proof's in the pudding, man. Yep. Glenn Schumann has done a fantastic job with that position group, and hard to say otherwise. All right, the other one I'm going to throw you, Tyreek Jemison, an offensive lineman, in-state guy, Jeremy. And I feel like for a long time, the guy we were all talking about was Tyler Chuckium. But now it seems like I think things have switched up, and it feels like the trend may be going toward Tyreek Jemison. Break this young man down for us before you give us a little in and out. I want you to kind of give me the insight on him.
Yeah, he's been a guy he's been a 4-year starter, and he's been one of the guys we've all known about for a long time. I haven't seen him recently. He's changed his body. That was number one for me, is that he's completely changed his body. So that, to me, shows, hey, this is a guy that works really hard. This is a guy that's serious about what he does. On the field, he's as nasty as they come. He's big, he's physical. He's one of those mauler types. I don't know that he's a tackle. I don't know that he ends up playing tackle wherever he lands. I think he could be a really good guard at some point. He's about 6'4", 6'5"-ish is what he actually might be, around 315 pounds. He's got those big, powerful hands, and he locks on you. And when he gets his hands on you, it's over. There's nothing you can do. He's just going to take you for a ride. He may throw you down. He's one of those guys. So really like his ability to stay on blocks and finish blocks is what his strengths are.
Ole Miss, it looks like the big competition there right now for Tyreek Jemison. Where do you feel like Georgia stands in this one today?
I think Georgia's out front right now, especially now that they've offered. They've kept the relationship that was something that I found unique as well, is that they actually stayed in contact in the entire time he's been in high school. They just never offered him. So now that the offer is there, I think Georgia's in a good spot. It just, we'll see where it goes, and I think he will eventually come back for an official visit. So, they're definitely trending in the right direction there.
That would be huge for Stacy Searles' unit. There's no question about that. They would love to get in a guy like Tyreek Jemison. And look, I don't think we're done talking about any of this stuff, man. There's more home games to come. There's more guys to be showing up. It's getting crazy. All right. So we got you covered on all of it over at DawgsHQ. Jeremy, you doing the Friday night thread this week?
I think I'm gonna go to a game this week. I'm gonna go.
All right. Where do you know where you're headed?
I'm probably going to Kell and Cambridge. I'm gonna go watch Craig Dandridge. I hadn't seen him play this year, and I saw him at the game the other day on Saturday, and he looks like he's put on about 10, 15 pounds since I saw him in the spring. So I'm interested to see what he's doing, how he's looking. So yeah,
absolutely.
I'll check that out.
Absolutely. And is Mooney Gibson still at Kell?
Yeah, he is.
Right, there you go. I can't keep listening. I can't keep track of all this, Jeremy. It's week to week in the high school ranks, just like it is in the college ranks, man. But he's a young guy too that I think people need to know a lot about. Mooney Gibson is it plays, I think, similarly to another guy who was at Kell for a while in Tyreek Green, just a tough young man.
Yeah, he's had. I think I've watched him play once this year in person. He's had probably one of the best years of any running back in the state of Georgia, at least. He's smooth, tough, like you said, tough guy. Really good as far as when he gets in that open field. He's not a fast guy, but people just never seem to be able to run him down from behind. So definitely somebody to watch. Georgia's recruiting him as well. He's been on campus once this fall too. So yeah, that should be a good game. So
yeah,
I'm intrigued by it.
I can't wait to hear about Craig Dandridge, man. I love that kid. And I don't think people talk about him enough, to be honest with you. I think that because, listen, Cambridge, not necessarily a powerhouse school, but that is a guy who I think can come in and, the things that people are expecting out of Talon Taylor, out of CJ Wiley, I think you can expect those things out of Craig Dandridge as well. I think he is a well-rounded receiver who can benefit you in his freshman season.
I agree. I think also I like guys who, from a creativity standpoint, this guy's getting the football and they still find ways to make plays. I think that translates to the college level, and then at the college level it translates to the NFL level, because you have to find ways to get open, because now the defense knows who you are. There's no hiding, there's no let me move you over here. No, we know that number 4 is getting the football, and you got to find ways to make plays, and that translates. So
absolutely. Guys, get over to DawgsHQ. We'll have you covered on all the recruiting visits this weekend, and looking ahead to Florida. We'll be back with the Georgia show on Sunday night for a preview of the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Going to be an interesting edition of that one, all things considered. I think we may be even underselling it to say that. We appreciate you tuning in. Enjoy your bye-week weekend, man. Watch some other teams. See how Georgia stacks up in your mind. And maybe get out and see a Friday night game while you're at it too, man. Some great things going on the high school gridiron. For Jeremy Johnson, I'm Jake Roos. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you on Sunday evening.